Hi everybody, this is Celeste. I'm a nationally certified interventionist. I'm a recovery coach and I'm also a family coach. And I want to talk about something that's really important when it comes to addiction and how people in active addiction really start to change. And for those of you who knew the person before they got into active addiction, it's like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. The difference can be like night and day, and you'll find yourself being around somebody or living with somebody that you don't even recognize anymore. And I've done a couple posts this week about verbal and emotional abuse, and this can be quite common in relationships where addiction is involved, and physical abuse can also become a factor. I'm not going to get into the physical abuse aspect of it too much because that's a completely different aspect that I'm going to address in another video. So I really want to talk about the impact that the verbal and emotional abuse has on the support system. So I posted some information about this. I encourage you to go back and read that and get some more information about that. So and verbal abuse and emotional abuse can be quite closely tied and have some very detrimental impacts on the family and the loved ones. So verbal abuse can look like things like name calling, yelling, threatening, manipulation. That also goes into emotional abuse. So gaslighting and blaming the other person for their behavior. And making the other person feel like the addict's behavior is their fault. Playing a lot of those psychological games. A lot of the blame, and it's your fault, and I wouldn't be using if it, wasn't if you weren't doing this, that, or the other. So there's a lot of these types of abuses that go on in these relationships, and this is probably one of the hardest things that family and loved ones have to go through, and it's so emotionally taxing, and it can really make, and I've been through this, where I've been verbally and emotionally abused, and I'll talk about it from the first person, just to own it, and you can take it if it applies to you. So, when I was being emotionally and verbally abused, I felt like I was worthless. I lost my self-confidence. I didn't feel like I could make decisions. I didn't feel like I was smart enough. I lost my self-esteem. I lost my self-respect because, deep down I knew that it wasn't me, it was them. So I didn't feel like I could respect myself because I knew I should be standing up to this and I wasn't. And it can really make you second guess everything that you believe in, especially when there's that gaslighting behavior going on and the person is saying, well, no, I never said that, or that never happened. You can start to question your own judgment and your own thought processes and your own reality. And it takes such a toll on the people that are on the receiving end of that. And it can just be so emotionally draining. So, and even to try to get through a single day in this type of an environment where you feel this way, to get through the everyday, much less try to make meaningful changes, can be completely overwhelming. So, it's such a difficult place to be in. But I wanted to reiterate that there's a lot of help out there for the family members, and it's so super important that you get help for yourself so that you can be better equipped to help yourself and your loved one, because I think that becomes a lot of the focus in these family dynamics, is that if the addict would just quit using and get better, then all this would just magically go away. And it's important that the family gets into their own support so that they can start to set boundaries, start to change those thought processes around the lack of self-confidence, the self-worth, the self-esteem, the questioning your own judgment, right? Because those are going to affect your behaviors too, and how you address the situation with your loved one. So these are all really important things to learn how to do, and change your thought patterns, which are going to change your behaviors and help you to set better boundaries and more effectively communicate with the person that you love that's engaging in these addictive behaviors. And the boundaries is going to be absolutely key when it comes to the verbal and emotional abuse, and starting to set those boundaries and doing follow through with what you say you're going to do. So, for example, if somebody's verbally abusing you and you say, look, if you continue to verbally abuse me, I'm going to have to end this phone call. And if they continue, end the phone call. So learning to set those really powerful and effective boundaries is something that's going to be key for you. And, I know it sounds like I'm putting the onus back on the family member. And I mean, that's a small part of it that's going to become very, very big, because as you start to set these boundaries with the person that you love that's engaging in these addictive behaviors, and starting to do the follow through and set those consequences, it's going to start to make them realize that they can no longer get away with what they're doing. Right? So if you're bailing them out financially or legally, or putting up with their abuse, and you start putting your foot down and saying no to some of this stuff, they're going to be more likely to get the help that they need. So through helping yourself, you're going to, in effect, be helping the one that you love too, to realize that the way that they're living is no longer feasible or manageable. And without having people that are enabling them, they're not going to be able to continue in this lifestyle that they're doing in the same way that they were before. So it's super important to protect you and your loved one, to start to set these boundaries, to start to have that effective communication by changing your thoughts and your behaviors. So what I've done is I posted a link for my family coaching program in the caption. So you're going to want to go there. You're going to want to click on it. We can have a conversation and build an individualized family coaching program for you to help this stop, because I really feel like most people living in this want this to stop. They're just not sure how. So it's important to take that important first step and to reach out. And I know it's scary. I know it's a scary place to be, to reach out and ask for that help. But I'm going to be on the other end of that, and I'm going to support you every step of the way through your program. So I'll make it as least scary as possible. I promise I don't bite. I'll be here to support you. Please go to the link, fill out your family coaching application, and we'll be in touch to set up your individualized program. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.